one love, Delta 9 travelers. Welcome back to the International Digital Connection. I want to say a special thank you to all of those live with us right now. If I'm coming through and I'm coming through clearly on your side of the globe, please and thank you. Drop a 9 in the comment section for me, man. Let know that you can hear me and you see me clear on the screen. I'm guessing we're back right now, but I just want some confirmation from those in the chat. I'm going to drop a 9 just to make sure that the connection is sound. And if you can hear me and you can hear me, Delta 9 travelers, please and thank you. Drop a 9 in the comment section. We got some very important headlines that we're going to update one another with in this live presentation. No delays, straight into the content that we're going to be covering. Grand rising to everyone. Hope that everybody is having a good day so far. And thanks for tuning in to the live presentation. All the frequent travelers, first time travelers with us, big up yourself. And thanks for being a part of this international digital connection right here with Delta 9 Media. As we get straight into these details coming in from one of the very outspoken WIN members, highlighting these details about what's going on right now in our country.
Leader of the opposition, the leader of the main opposition party in Guyana, the biggest hindrance to the government of Guyana, the biggest pain in the ass of the government of Guyana, the one who has been revealing all of the corruption and all the nonsense that's been going on in Guyana, the person that has caused the president of Guyana and all of his government ministers to be seen as the corrupt, thieving, lying bastards that they are. Again, he was arrested. He was arrested again last night, right? Why was he arrested? Because they said they believed that there was suspicious activity on his boat that he was coming from Region 1 with. They went to do an outreach out there, and they went to launch some program that they were working on. Now, the government of Guyana has prevented this guy from traveling by plane. He can't travel anywhere by plane. He can't drive none of his cars. They won't let him register his cars. So they have they're doing everything that they possibly can to prevent this guy from being an influence in Guyana, because they realize how much of a threat to them he is, right? So in broad daylight, in front of the whole world, these people are doing everything that they possibly can to prevent the leader of the opposition from saying a word, from having a word. Now, they're going to continue doing this, and they don't care who's even seen it. Right now, they don't care. The government of Guyana, the People's Progressive Party, civic government, they don't care no more. They don't care who sees what they're doing. They don't care who sees that they're breaking the law. They don't care who sees that they're persecuting this man. They don't care. They have given up all pretense of trying to be a rational government. They have given up all pretense of being a democracy. If they're running behind this man for murder, or they're running behind him for fraud, or they're running behind him for smuggling, or for tax evasion or something, they're coming up with something every single day. You name one government, one country in the world. Even the only other country in the world that I've seen this happen is in Russia. Everybody that's an opponent of Vladimir Putin gets killed. Everybody. If you oppose to Vladimir Putin, he's going to kill you. He don't care who you is, he's going to kill you. And the whole world sees when Vladimir Putin kills his enemies. He don't care. Vladimir Putin ain't kissing nobody else. If you my opponent, I can kill you. Guyana has become like that now. The only thing missing now is for the government of Guyana to assassinate the opposition leader. And I'm telling y'all right now, there will come a day. Do not be surprised. I'm not wishing bad for nobody, but do not be surprised if the day doesn't come that Azruddin Mohamed is assassinated in Guyana. I know y'all don't want to hear this. People don't get mad at me for saying it. When these people run out of options and they run out of ways to get rid of this man, they will. Roughneck Banner, yo, you couldn't eat and come on this app. Roughneck Banner, you know what you could do? You could come off with me fucking life and go about your business, you know. If you don't want to watch me eating, you could go about your fucking. May come a day when the people of Guyana will be mourning the assassination of the opposition leader. The leader of the Wind Party, Azruddin Mohamed. There may come a day when you guys will be mourning and saying rest in peace to Azruddin Mohamed. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that day may be coming. That day will be coming. When they run out of options, when they can't extradite him, when they can't lock him up, when they can't do all these things, the government of Guyana will have no other option but to assassinate Azruddin Mohamed. And if y'all think that's beyond their reach, let me tell y'all something. Barajagio killed his own government minister, Sagio Sa. His own government minister, Barajagio, had assassinated. So if he didn't have a problem assassinating his own government minister, what make y'all think he would have a problem killing Azruddin Mohamed? Then people kill Courtney Crumb UN. Who are Courtney Crumb UN used to do was stand up with a placard and protest outside the Attorney General's office. Courtney Crumb UN was no other threat other than that. And if they could murder Courtney Crumb UN for the minor things that he was doing, what make y'all think they won't murder Azruddin Mohamed? Andrew Miller said, please don't put it out in the atmosphere. I'm not putting nothing out in the fucking atmosphere. I'm dealing with reality. That's y'all people problem. Y'all don't like dealing with reality. Y'all like just hope and pray. Y'all just like hope and pray that things will get better. Y'all hope and pray that great God is going to come from the sky and solve all of y'all fucking problems. That's y'all problem. Y'all don't want to deal with reality. I'm dealing with reality. I'm dealing with straight reality. Y'all go and pray. Y'all go and hope and pray that that man in the sky will deal with your problems. He will answer your problems. You know, the same God that y'all pray to, that that let over 100 people die in the Berima accident. That same God that let 130 people die in the Berima accident. The same God that you hope and pray for, that you fucking dress show up in time from Shrine so you can wait the event. The same God that was more concerned about you praying for you dress to come in the mail on time. But he had time for worry about you dress coming in the mail on time, but he had time for worry about the people in the Berima accident. He ain't got time for worry about all them children dying in Africa every day. All them people are getting killed in Palestine every day. That God ain't got time for worry about them, but he got time for worry about you dress coming in time for Shine for the or you getting money for buy your plane ticket for go America. That's the same God. Yeah, that's the God y'all want me to worry about and hope and pray that he fix everything. I got some bad news for y'all. Yeah. That's not how it works. That is not how it's going to work, guys. I'm telling y'all right now, sooner or later, the PPP government is going to run out of patience with Azruddin Mohamed. And you want let me explain to you why I'm saying what I'm saying. Remember when Roger Khan was wanted by the United States government for trafficking cocaine? Remember when the United States government was doing everything to get Roger Khan, and Barrett Jagio refused to give up Roger Khan? Yeah. The United States government had to go through Trinidad to get Roger Khan, because the government of Guyana refused to give up Roger Khan. Why? Because Roger Khan was Barrett Jagio buddy. This same United States government that they're bending over right now to give Azruddin Mohamed up to, that they're willing to do anything, spend millions of dollars to get lawyers to find a way to extradite Azruddin Mohamed. This same government would not give up Azruddin Mohamed, would not give up Roger Khan. Y'all remember? Y'all remember that, right? The government of the United States wanted Roger Khan so bad. The feds wanted him. But Jagir said, no, I ain't giving you up. The government of the United States of America wanted Roger Khan, and Roger Khan did not have no bank accounts closed. He didn't have no assets frozen. He didn't have none of that stuff. As a matter of fact, when Roger Khan was in jail, Roger Khan was still making money in Guyana.
Things to think about.
Right. Because Roger Khan is Barrett Jagio boy. Right? Azruddin Mohamed is no longer Barrett Jagio's boy. You think if...
Greetings to all of the channel members, all the frequent travelers, moderators live with us. Shari, thanks for being a part of the live presentation. Moses, big up yourself. Thanks for being a part of this live. Thanks for tuning in, Moshe. Burnell, big up yourself. Burnell is saying, so they want the boat too. I'm telling you, there's a lot going on right now. Big up to all the frequent travelers in the chat with us, all the persons live. We're getting into some of these headlines that we didn't get to cover in the last presentation. Very important things that we want to highlight at the top of the day. Top of the day to all of those tuned in to the International Digital Connection. As we hear some more of these details coming in from a WIN member, highlighting certain unfortunate eventualities that, to be honest with you, I would not want to see occur, because there's going to have a whole lot of far-reaching implications with that, and a whole lot of persons are definitely going to be affected. Let's hear a little bit more. Big up to all the travelers in the chat with us right now. If you can hear me and hear me clearly, drop a 9 in the comment section just to confirm. Or as we continue to watch these live presentation, I know sometimes persons might forget, but make sure that you hit that thumbs up button. Send this out in the algorithm so that persons can see and understand what's going on in our very wealthy and beautiful nation.
Azruddin Mohamed and Barry Jagio and them was friends right now, you'll be facing extradition. Do any of y'all think that if Barry Jagio and them was still driving around in Azruddin Mohamed car and all that stuff and collecting money and all that shit from him, do you think he'd be facing extradition right now?
What do you think? That's a very good question. That should be the poll question of the day. You know, if Mohammed was still a part of the PPP, would he be facing extradition right now? If Mohammed was still a part of the PPP, would he be facing extradition right now? That's a question. That's going to be the poll question of the day. So we could analyze, you know, what's really going on with these eventualities that we're analyzing right here. Big up yourself, John. John is saying, morning, he will become a witness against them. They should have sleepless nights. I'm telling you.
That is because the government of Guyana has turned Guyana into a banana republic. If you guys don't understand what I mean when I say banana republic, go look it up. Go look up the definition of a banana republic and tell me if Guyana does not fit that definition. It's a complete banana republic. Complete banana republic. All right? So, I'm saying all this to tell y'all, like I said earlier, the government of Guyana is going to run out of options. They are going to run out of options. And what do y'all think they're going to do when they run out of options? What do y'all think they're going to do? When they are faced with the possibility that Azruddin Mohamed might not go to jail in America, and they can't put any other more flimsy charges on him, what are they going to do? You notice they keep trying things and then they give up. They try something and they give up. A couple of weeks ago, they was hot and sweaty on Paper Shorts murder. That upstanding citizen Paper Shorts. That upstanding citizen Paper Shorts that used to go to church every Sunday. That was an altar boy that used to sing in the choir. That used to do all those charitable works. You know, used to help old women cross the street and all that stuff. That same Paper Shorts, who was a beacon of fucking morality in Guyana. Okay, when they couldn't stick nothing to us with them for Paper Shorts murder, they move on to something else. All right? They keep moving on to something. Every time something disappears, they come up with something new. Every time they can't do something to the man, they come up with something new. After the next week, when have you ever seen an opposition leader or a political opponent of a government being arrested and harassed so many times like you have seen in the last year? Name one other country. Name one other country. Yeah, I know he was placed on $100,000 bail. He just texted me. And I know everything that's going on. Anything that y'all think y'all know, I already know. He just text me. Okay, so what is this go to say? Azruddin Mohamed doesn't have any weapons to protect himself. Okay? They don't have, he doesn't have any weapons. His bodyguards can't protect him or anything like that. He's just a sitting duck, just waiting to be slaughtered. And I'm telling y'all right now, at some point in time, that's what is either an assassination attempt is going to be made or it's going to be successful. But something is going to happen. And I tell y'all, I tell Azruddin, I tell everybody, sooner or later, the government of Guyana is going to run out of patience with Azruddin Mohamed. These people, they're not accustomed. Think about it this way. All the years the PPP was in government, okay? When they had opposition leaders, whether it was Desmond Hoyt, whether it was Robert Corbyn, whether it was R.B. Norton, which one of those opposition leaders ever put up a fight and a challenge to these people the way Azruddin Mohamed is doing right now? They send people to kill me. Let us send people to kill me. Let them send people to kill me. I waited for them. You know, me and them same fucking people that sent for me is gonna knock on heaven's door at the same fucking time.
Dealing with dark realities that, as we analyze it and look around, we could see that, listen, the situation keeps getting more and more complicated, right? As we analyze what's going on in our nation, these are some of the other headlines coming in directly connected.
Carbon Court of Justice President Justice Winston Anderson has categorically rejected allegations that he attempted to influence the judgment in the case involving Guyanese businessmen Nazar Mohamed and Azruddin Mohamed. The allegation is among several controversies addressed by Justice Anderson in a 9-page statement issued on August 14, following the publication of a confidential internal correspondence involving judges of the regional court. Justice Anderson's statement does not delve into the merits of those extradition proceedings. Instead, he directly confronts allegations surrounding what occurred internally at the CCJ during deliberations and the preparation of the judgment. And in doing so, the CCJ president makes an important admission. According to Anderson, there were differing views among the judges regarding aspects of the reasoning and how certain issues should be articulated in the final judgment. He maintains, however, that such disagreements are neither unusual nor evidence of improper interference. Anderson said robust and candid exchanges are encouraged among judges of the CCJ, with judicial conferences routinely involving competing legal analyses before a final judgment is settled. The CCJ president then strongly rejected any suggestion that he could have dictated the position ultimately adopted by his colleagues. He declared that no judge worthy of sitting on the CCJ bench would allow himself or herself to be unduly influenced by another judge, including the president of the CCJ. But perhaps the most consequential part of Anderson's defense is his disclosure that, notwithstanding the differing views during deliberations, all 7 CCJ judges were ultimately unanimous as to the disposition of the Mohamed's appeal. Justice Anderson described any suggestion that judicial views were suppressed or that a judge was directed to reach a particular conclusion as wholly without foundation. The president's explanation now places him on the public record that disagreements over aspects of the reasoning did occur during the preparation of the Mohamed judgment, while leaving Anderson firmly rejecting the much more serious allegation that those disagreements involved improper presidential interference. Justice Anderson's statement comes amid wider controversy surrounding leaked internal CCJ correspondence and allegations concerning the administration and governance of the Caribbean's highest appellate court. He has condemned the disclosure of confidential judicial material, arguing that such leaks undermine judicial and public confidence in the administration of justice. The Caribbean Court of Justice recently ruled that there were no politically motivated grounds to quash the Home Affairs Minister Onij Waldron's authorization of a magistrate to to conduct hearings for the extradition of the father and son to the United States of America. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Well, I'm telling you, after hearing them details and putting it together with what we would have heard from Honorable Mr. Huge about what's going on with our own appeal court, it's a whole lot to think about with that. A whole lot. Because Mr. Huge is highlighting the hurdles that persons would have to face for justice in the appeal court, our local appeal court, right? And then you hear about what's going on with the CCJ. Makes you wonder.
Blessed Thursday morning to you, the family. Verificate all the loyalty, the arm big up for yourself. Now,
One love, King.
You're taking part in a serious case against an extradition case against a man of a country, and you're defending that man in a case against the extradition of the government of the country.
Mm.
As a judge or a person who opinion is greater within that case. You are supposed to be meeting with the country leader that going up against this man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this whole thing look shaggy, shaky. You understand? Because you supposed to never have no picture taken around the time before the decision. Or thing. Mm-hmm. You supposed to...
You did get a chance, sorry to cut your wisdom, you did get a chance to hear Honorable Nigel Huge views on what's going on with the CCJ?
No, I never get to pick it up.
Listen, my buddy. Get a chance. I'm going to share that link. I'm going to share the link, or I'm going to try to get it and share it again, because the points that Mr. Huge was making is even more implications to this thing, you know. A whole lot more implications to this thing, buddy.
Yeah, you meet with the AG for the country.
Mm-hmm.
The president for the country. Because you know the president is a shadow of the real president, which is the vice of the president, Jabio. So once Ali appears, you're looking at Jabio. You see? Yeah. You don't understand this thing. You see, I just deal with this with like last night I was on the street and I tell him, big man, I say, yeah, this guy needs, but the problem with they all argue politics. They say, About politics? I say, yeah. When you argue politics, you look for the facts. But I said, Guyana is not running by politicians. Guyana is running by politicians. They are tricking the people. I humble some big man in the 80, the 60 something. I humble them last night in the street. You see? Guyanese. I say, when a politician is put in place, it's to serve the people. But when a politician is put in place, which is never a politician don't put in place, they just trick their way into place. And when they get in there, they trick the people all the time because they never want to share. They want takes and takes. I say there is no honest politician. A politician will skin off the top, but a politician going tricking and taking everything to himself. So watch out, ideally.
Big up yourself, King. Thanks for highlighting them details. Very insightful commentary coming in from the frequent travelers. I'm going to try to get that piece back because some of the points that Mr. Nigel Huge was making about the very appeal court in our country and the implications with the CCJ and how persons are compromised and all of that. It's good for we analyze it on this live as I started off with this so we could put one and one together and realize it's what's taking place, because very soon and very shortly we are already hearing that the AG is coming out strongly against the stay of the extradition process. He's trying to say, listen, let this process go into full moves and get everything going. as it relates to extraditing the leader of the opposition and his father. We still ain't hearing nothing but May at the end of August, making me wonder what's really taking place with that. But guess what? Persons are analyzing other things. Because remember last night on the live, we was talking about this whole bag drop and people talking about bag was dropping water and they want to know if it's a bag, and then persons was speeding this, that, and the third. There is some insider information that we're about to analyze right now that is connected to that as well. Let me hear right now from Big Smith from Big Smith News Watch. Pick up yourself, Mr. Smith. Let me hear what's going on right here.
On the Demerara River with the opposition leader and the joint services, that thing could have turned out so badly. So badly. I made a post about intelligence and feeding intelligence or feeding information to junior ranks and so on. I am not supposed to tell y'all this because the person who told me this asked me not to say it. But you should know. I'm not going to disclose my source, but somebody within the operational sphere of what took place last night said to me that the police who went on the ground, who responded to that incident, were told that there's a boat heading into Port Georgetown with guns, ammunition, and drugs. I swear on my life, that was said to me by someone within the scheme of things that received such information that caused the police to act in that manner, or caused the police to get into gear, or the law enforcement, or the joint service.
Okay, so hearing some details now that is connected to why they probably was operating in that manner. They get a fake tip. Who was the person on the other end of that line though? And who was the person on the phone that was still telling them things while they were there? You understand? Things that we got to make sure we pay attention to, buddy.
Whoever fed that intelligence to wherever, however, and whenever, I will say that they should be made to account and they should be made to answer for that inaccurate or that clear mischievous dissemination of information among law enforcement officers. When you Azruddin, the opposition leader, I was told, drove away. Now I'll tell you something about that just now. But for those of you who don't understand how the police force works or law enforcement works, when you see issues of drugs or narcotics, when issues of narcotics, firearm, and ammunition are part of the play, the situation becomes excessively dangerous. It becomes a high-risk operation. And so if I am told that drugs is there, I will not naturally assume that drugs are protected by guns. If I am told that guns are there, the natural scheme of things in your mind will tell you that if I approach these people and I'm a bit, and they feel that they're on the threat, they can open fire. So you're going in a state of readiness, extra readiness, once you hear about drugs, firearms, and ammunition. That is the I can't find the word, but that is the mindset in which those law enforcement officers or that joint service group responded to last night, because they were told drugs, ammunition, and guns. on that boat.
Yeah, later.
Driving.
Yeah, later. So, could you imagine if the MP had carried her weapon with her on the boat and they find the MP with her weapon? Would they take the time to figure out what's really going on with that weapon? Right? If other persons had their licensed firearms with them, what would have been the implications? And after they realized that there's a boat full of MPs that's moving around, doing work for the people, they obviously would have known and been watching them, because we know that they're watching them very closely, right? So think about what could have become of this situation and how worse it could have been. You understand?
In a way, or running away from the police, for want of a better term. That in itself is dangerous and reckless. What I was told is that when the man observed it was the police, the man decided that he was not going to stop there. He was going to proceed to his wharf. Now, if that is the case, I'm telling you, I have said on lives before that when the police intercept you, you stop. When the police approaches you, you cooperate. There is a need to cooperate, there is a need to stop. The law says that. The law says that. But when a man can believe that he is safer out of the hands of our law enforcement or our joint services or our men and women in uniform, we have a problem. Because if a man could decide that me want to take the chances with y'all, I prefer go down y'all come and collect me there. We have a problem there. I will tell you, but that's a matter for Azruddin and his lawyers. But I'm sure that they will tell the court, if it meets to that stage, that Your Honor, and they will show the precedence of the police trailing, special branch, and so on. And they say, Your Honor, my client was fearful for his life. He was afraid that they shoot you on the water and so on, or just disappear the boat or so, or cause a situation to occur, and then say that we opened fire or something. So, Your Honor, my client decided to drive the boat where he felt it was safer to do so. And I'm telling you, I personally will buy a story like that. I'll buy a story like that if I'm the subject of constant unwanted scrutiny by the law enforcement arms of the force. And this is me being very fair and very frank. And this is not holding beef for Azruddin or the government or anything of the sort. The human instinct will always have that proclivity to protect itself, be safe, to safeguard itself, unless you're really reckless, like some of these guys on a motorcycle.
So we're hearing some of the details from the dirty operation that could leave a number of our MPs that placed them as well in a dangerous, life-threatening situation. Somebody call and tip off and say, hey, there's a boat traveling with arms, ammunition, and illegal substances. Allegedly. Well, we hear the top cop already analyze the fact about the movement of the boat and from the statement analysis and the way that the top cop analyzed it in the last live that we did last night. Clearly the boat was already docked when they came up on them. So what was really going on? And is there more falsity other than the original person that called in and said something about what's going on? Was the statement itself that come out from the police fabricated? Allegedly, things that we gotta pay attention to, because this one could have been way, way worse. And what's the other things that they might got plotted? You know? What's next after this? What's next?
You understand? And so that incident on the water was a very serious matter. I will speak on the gun in whose vehicle? In Natasha Singh's vehicle. You remember 3 months ago or so I posted Natasha when I tell she get it correct or else. I mean dead. So I don't have they is not my friend. Quite frankly, I was at her wedding because I know her husband and
Does
her
the
friends.
opposition leader of Guyana supposed to have a security
So I went to
detail team? Mean that he as in almost a position to become a president or serving as a dangerous opposer party.
To be honest with you, I don't know the legal specifications, but I would hope that some amount of security would be given to the leader of the opposition of one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
See, this is where the law and the constitution, under Guyanese law, the leaders of the opposition is entitled to state provided security as the official resident and design official, but not the personal, the people them around him.
Yeah.
Detail or bodyguard. He can't get his own personal bodyguard, and the government supposed to provide that for it. Ladies,
but
there's no following the constitution. These guys don't follow no constitution unless once it applies to them, they don't follow it. They don't follow it. They apply to the people them that's not for them.
Yeah.
And the AG just come up with certain things that don't make no sense. That certain words he just come up with to just confuse the Guyanese people that's too educated.
Yeah.
You see? Bro, they're supposed to provide Mohammed with a security team.
Let me ask you something though, Let me be real with this thing. Right? If you was Mr. Mohammed, right? Would you trust this present collective that is in government to provide you with somebody to secure your life?
Bro, you make it. You said no.
Be real. I tell them thanks but no thanks because they might put me in more danger. I would ask them to finance a person of my choosing. Pay a person that I choose or allow me to choose my security detail and, you know, pay the fee to them. But I wouldn't let them choose that for me.
By the law, constitution,
yeah. Well, you see, that's the thing right there. The way that they're treating the leader of the opposition and the whole party. How you going to trust something as intricate as your life?
You get man coming searching a woman from the opposition, bro. That's a sexual harassment charge right there, bro. Nothing more than that.
Even beyond, it's a disrespect to every man in the country when you see the females got to be treated in that manner, all because they choose to serve the people.
No,
I felt very disrespected seeing what was going on.
I'm going to tell you something. I used to work for this big man, and he had a tenant used to rent one building. When he find out the man making a set of money on the building, he tried to take the man illegally. And when finally the thing comes, because he was a big man within the system, he get the man out. The man don't move. The man tell yes, and everything left there now is garbage. He did deposit and take care of it. Now you want to get some money from the man. Now the man move with like 3 or 4 months lease rent from him. Set up the man like this. Go there, put the man, put the place like the man still living there. Take out picture, file a court, carry the man to court. Then file and give me $1,000 for come to court for testify. that the man was there. And I told him when he give me the check. I said, bro, me want this check. Post the check to me house. I said, bro, I got to court, I gonna speak the truth. Still drag me in court, and I said, yo, the man was moved already. The man left the place. He said he set up the place though. I said the man left the place and went around his business.
Yeah.
He just went and tried fire. I said, okay, but I want to pay my dignity, bro.
Yeah, because after that was gonna be war.
I after that you don't get whatever
you gotta lie for more thing, you gotta do this, you gotta do dark. I say,
bro,
but I get one of them.
But you no. Yeah. Tell me, he said, but I respect you for standing your ground.
As everyone would
come back to work, because I was the person he could only trust to take care of all them buildings. And I saw he can't buy me, no matter how much million he gets. He can't buy me dignity, he can't buy me himself. Righteousness, I deal with righteousness.
Man, why you sell your soul for $1,000, bro? Yo.
I did listening.
Man, why you sell your soul just for them little bit of bread? Big up yourself, King. Thanks for calling in. I'm telling you, as we continue to analyze what's going on, is Azruddin Mohamed currently the single biggest threat to the PPP administration? 82% of the persons are saying yes, 100%. 18% is saying no, the opposition is no match for the PPP. Well, before we jump back into what Mr. Smith from Big Smith News Watch is highlighting, let me analyze something that might be directly correlated to the question on the poll for today, right? Let me see how fast I can locate this so we could get it into the record. Greetings, we're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Hey Delta, this is Rujan Austin calling. How you doing?
Doing great, bro. You going, Rook?
I'm doing good. I see the thing yesterday with Mohamed and where they both stopped them. That don't make no sense because I didn't get a chance to call in yesterday. How you gonna chase somebody and see one boat back and then claim that they both got substances and you don't know what they inside?
From what we hearing was false information that they would have gathered. Because we getting some insider details now coming from Big Smith, and Big Smith saying somebody give them a false tip, which compromised the safety of all of them MPs that was on board. He's even highlighting just how worse it could have been for them.
Yeah, because like the police, like he make up story as he go. He said he stand up there and said they both they pass the boat and then they reverse back. But if you chase on boat, you chase on boat.
Exactly. Top cops find the holes in the story and expose it to it yesterday.
So that means Mohamed can press charges against them?
I think he should, but how far you think he's going to get presently with what's going on in the country and the way that the whole judiciary and everything is compromised?
Well, I don't think he'll get far. Remember, I keep saying that he's not the president for run Guyana, so that's my opinion. But then again, so he might do good, and then I don't know. I can't choose that.
Telling you.
All right, Delta, take care of yourself. God bless, man. Thank you.
Likewise, King. Thanks for calling in. Insights coming in from our moderator, Mr. Singh. Big up yourself. Thanks for tuning in to the live presentation. Is Azruddin Mohamed currently the single biggest threat to the PPP administration? 85% of the participants in the poll question are saying, listen, yes, 100%. 15% are saying no. The opposition is no match, right? Now I was looking for this piece of content that I had, but guess what? We're gonna move forward. And if I find it, I'm gonna bring it into the live presentation. Big up to everyone that's live with us right now, everybody that's participated on the poll question so far. Big up yourself. Thanks for being a part of what we got going on right here on this live. 86% now is saying yes. Azruddin Mohamed is currently the single biggest threat to the PPP administration. And 14% are saying no, the opposition is no match for the PPP.
To that wedding. But, bro, if I'm going out of town and I have a secured area and I put a gun, I rest a gun in my bag and I rest it in a vehicle. And I'm saying to the driver, I'm resting this here. Or maybe I don't say to the driver, I'm resting it here. But there is this. I have this here.
John is saying he will become a witness against them. That might be why they didn't want to extradite Roger, right? I'm telling you. Shari is saying absolutely not. They would have protected him, right? They would have protected Mr. Mohamed if he was still with them and facing these same charges from the US, right? Devanan, thanks for tuning in. Colin, what's going on? Colin is saying good morning to Delta 9. Our AG is bad for Guyana. The biggest problem of Guyana is the police who is control. Who controls them? The AG. I'm telling you. Ay, ay, ay. They didn't give him that or a driver. Office or nothing. I'm telling you. A real controlled opposition, an opposition that got to literally get it out the mud. They didn't give him a security detail, a driver, or the office or nothing. Brenton, thanks for tuning in. Brenton is saying they don't want to guard him because they want to get rid of him. Yeah, and if anything happened to him, while they are the ones that should be protecting him, they now would have a lot of questions to answer to the country and persons international. And this is the kind of thing that we gotta ask ourselves. Is this the type of governance that we deserve as a people? One of the wealthiest persons in the world, as long as you're a Guyanese, on paper per annum, because of the resources in our nation. And Burton, thanks for dropping this insightful comment right here, Mr. Burton. He's saying they don't want to guard him because they want to get rid of him. You know, things that should be done constitutionally is not being done. Shell, we're going on. Shell is saying he need to get back his bodyguard. Trisha, thanks for tuning in. Trisha is saying Delta 9, good morning, my brother, and all viewers and subscribers. Big up yourself, Trisha. Thanks for being a traveler with us right here on this live presentation. We continue to analyze what Mr. Smith is highlighting right here.
Police conduct a search and so on. Is there? I come and I claim ownership of my weapon. I arrested it here because I was going in the river. I did not want to walk with the weapon, and so I left it here for safekeeping and what's not and stuff. In a situation, but then you have to look at what the law says. What the law says with respect to possession and all of these things. But then possession, you'll have to really find the elements to prove that. And stuff. But then what Natasha Singh was doing, and I'm knocking the police here because sometimes the police have to be slow to release and process and think and investigate. What Natasha Singh was doing, going around with a gun, that she don't have a license to carry. Azruddin Mohamed and everybody from the Win Party are under intense scrutiny, are under intense surveillance, and they know this. And so, and I am not here to defend Azruddin, but I am here to talk about the clear nonsensical behavior of the joint services sometimes. A man that is so watched, he can't go nowhere in this country without being watched, will take the chance and the risk of having drugs, guns, and ammunition.
It would be most foolish if yeah. That's what he's saying.
Azruddin Mohamed will have to be very fucking stupid to have all those eyes on him and running around the place with guns, drugs, and ammunition. It doesn't make any sense.
No sense at all.
The police, sometimes you guys, and it comes back to what I was saying. The policemen and women that are coming up have a lot of work to do for the Guyana Police Force as an organization. Y'all have a lot of work to do. It's not 2 cents stupidness y'all just put yourself to when the day come. I saw a critic talking about a press release that came out. The press releases, 2 different press releases speaking on the same issue, and the time is not matching. There's no correlation with the time. Those
everybody finding the holes in their conversation.
And so when you want to cook a story, you gotta cook it properly. Sit down and cook it properly.
Yeah, let's simmer. The one of the story they're trying to cook.
If you want to cook it, do it properly. You understand? People saw right through the police report and so on. And you know, I saw people. I was having a conversation with somebody this morning, and I will say this, for people in government. Azruddin Mohamed was not completely liked by a lot of people in this country. But every time you come up against Azruddin in a particular way, you push support in Azruddin Mohamed's direction. You create a level of disdain in people's heads for the government of the day and the people associated with government because of how you're treating this man. And people will feel that, or people are already at the arrival of a conclusion, which is this advantage is being taken of this man. And so while the government might believe, and I'm saying the government because some of the things that are happening with the Mohammeds cannot happen without blessings from somewhere. And so if the PPP wants to win the 2030 elections, the PPP has to allow the systems to work. Because every time you get up and you use the system the wrong way, it pushes people away from you. You cause people to have a disdain for you. You cause people to say, today is Azruddin. Yesterday was Brutus. Tomorrow could be me. And when you have several people sitting thinking that way, they will have a different view towards you. There might be people who like you, there might be people who are sympathetic to you, there might be people who are supportive of you, but then they don't like what you're doing. And when they go to vote on elections day, and I spoke about this during elections time last year, you see when you go into that box, you leave home knowing that you're going to vote for the PPP, or you leave home knowing you're going to vote for the PNC or AFC. And then when you go in the box, you remember your friend there with this party, or you remember this minister that she came into your community, and apart from doing her normal government duties, she went an extra mile and so on. And then you look at Amanza Wallen and you say, oh, she speaks so beautifully and eloquently. And so you have all these things that play in your mind when you go into a polling station or a polling booth. And then sometimes you come out there making a decision which is not a decision you went in there to make. And so in order to keep people in your corner, PPP, in order to keep your support base, and in order to ensure that support base grows, last week I spoke about these people who just come and flock in because they want contracts and so on. And if the PPP lose election today or tomorrow, look for them. Look for them. And I made a mention of the girls from the Dalrymple girls. Those girls went over there while the PPP was in opposition. So if you're going to talk about opportunistic, I won't put up to them because they come to you when you went in opposition. But the ones that come into you when you're in government, and so be wary of some of them. Be very wary of some of them. But
I'm telling you, a lot of them that are flocking now, I know persons paying attention to them too. The PPP is not a foolish collective, right? That's one thing we could say. And they're going to be analyzing them. Big up yourself, Mr. Smith. And as you were talking about Honorable Amansa Desir, let's hear some of what she had to say just recently about the developments in our nation. MP Amansa, Honorable Amansa Walton Desir.
Of the PPP. They are bent on control and domination. I want to show you one other example because I just flow when I talk. These things come to my mind, and I will say that. Look at the way that every intersection that you cross in Georgetown, the East Bank, the East Coast, they have surveillance cameras. Those same intersections, dangerous intersections, do not have working traffic lights. And that tells you the mindset of the PPPC government, because they're interested in surveillance. They're not interested in safety. And so you've got to recognize how what they do betrays their paradigm. If they were interested in the safety of Guyanese, all along Heroes Highway, those traffic lights would have been working. All along the East Coast, those dangerous intersections would be outfitted with traffic lights. But no, every corner, they have surveillance cameras because they want to watch, but they are not interested in our safety on the roads.
Wow.
And that ought to tell you where their mind is as a government.
Very revealing.
And not one of them will come out and say anything. This is why I keep saying to people that you need leaders who are not afraid to agree to disagree on certain things. Because a lot of us, when we look at opposition politics, talk about, oh, why you can't hold one head. And there's an important place for that. But there is also an important place for speaking up and going against the grain when it is required. Because it is that same clannish mentality that the PPPC government has, that not one of them can come out and condemn any of the foolishness, the blatant nonsense that they see going on. Women are abused and assaulted. Nigel Darmlal is back in public life in the most offensive way.
Yeah, right back
After
where he was.
Dozens of rape allegations against him. He is back in public life. And not one minister of the PPP government has the courage to stand up and say, I do not agree with it.
Can't say nothing. And that's the thing that has helped me to realize that, listen, politics is very, very important. to everything that's going on in any country. But you see that present collective that is there, I don't want to be a part of it, big man. I don't want to be a part of nothing that they got going on, because there's always some level of corruption and some level of tomfoolery going on that it just doesn't sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with me at all, because when you hear about all of these things that's going down, you gotta ask yourself, if you're running a party and you got a collective of persons that is just going along with this, what kind of government do we really have?
And these are the things that continue to affect us as a country. And these are the things that cause us to be the laughing stock of this nation, of this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have got to understand where we are.
God, draw that line in the
kudos to the people
sand.
of Chinese landing that continue to stand up to the atrocity. The other thing I wanted to talk to us today about, because there's so much to say, but I just want to focus on three things. And as I'm feeling better now physically, I'll come more often on these lives, because I think the time is now for us to begin to even get into our groups and to talk. And in the coming weeks, you're going to see us coming into the community more and having community outreaches.
Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 Major Line.
Greetings, Delta Major. Yeah, man. You know, certain words you say, could come back and haunt you. Now, we are saying, people are saying, oh, the ruling party in power.
Yeah.
The word ruling is a serious word, and that's what the Guyanese get right now. They are being ruled. They are not being lead. It's right. And this is why I just said the leading opposition. Because there are more than one opposition.
Yeah.
But the win party is the leading party for the opposition. But you don't understand, Everybody, the opposition leader. But how much opposition is in parliament right now? You got it? It's 3 opposition in parliament.
Yeah.
So why is it your only one is pointing out as the opposition? And this is where I keep saying it on this platform and more. There is 3 oppositions. That's why we are calling for unity among them. You can't call for unity with one opposition. If there was one, we'll call for the opposition to go out and do what you have to do for the people. You see the words, the English language that we, as our foreparents have taught after they bring them from Africa.
Yeah.
And we has passed on to us because we have lose our cultural language. I have to say it like that. A lot of time now we don't understand the English language, regardless how bright and smart your books. Because we wrong talk at the same time. Yeah. Mohamed is not the only opposition. He's the leading opposition leader. Norton are the second opposition leader. Amanza are the third opposition leader. That's what all 3 are doing right now. Is fighting so that they could lead the people them.
Yeah.
Not rule them. You understand? The idea is.
Yeah, man. Pick up yourself. Powerful point. No, International Digital Connection Canada is on the flight. Thanks for tuning in, Desiree, and being a part of this international connection as we analyze what's going on. Tricia is saying the opposition is a threat to the regime, for he knows so much about them. I definitely agree with that. Big up to all of the travelers live with us right now. Let's hear some more from Honorable Amansa Desir.
And speaking to us, because I truly, truly believe that for us to break some of the chains off of our minds, it's not just about running into the street. It is about understanding why what we do is important and how do we do it correctly. And you can only get that through dialogue and through us sitting down and talking about what we see for this nation. What is our vision for this nation? How can we as a people who are so small in population do much more with the bounty of wealth that this nation enjoys coming in through our oil revenues? And it is only Guyanese that can do that for Guyanese. Our solutions have to be for us, by us, and we have to reinvent the wheel, because we can look at
love your family, man. Let's love your loyal listeners and viewers from the globe. My boy, if you go on a GC, my boy, it's not suppleness to go on. I know why back to Delta. All of we talking. What is the people's stand? What stand the people taking? Then we concern. You understand? Because at the end of the day, bro, we the people who suffering, we just talking and talking because everybody has to say. After just one Mohammed got to jail or got thing, you know. After right now, you time with Mohammed, you know. They want to control the leadership. And rightfully, that is what Albert said, big up yourself, Albert. You understand, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, look, they don't say once Mohammed come out the picture, they will get back the power. You understand? Because Mohammed is a threat to them to him. Don't let me get past this, you know, bro. And then you see this bike ship nothing. Why can't go good? And I tell people start to no, that's the first meeting. There's a first, we have a head meeting because who come out to the meeting?
That's a part of the life that we gotta get to, because we're gonna hear some insider perspective about the whole meeting and stuff like that coming in from one of the members of the WPA.
Yeah, because listen what I said, so you go with 3 bullet points or 5 bullet points and you ain't get nothing but ask. So what is the success of the meeting? Just to show the Guyanese that yes, the opposition them meet. That is my take. You ain't agree to nothing you ain't agree on. So what is the purpose of the meeting? And Norton went back down and said what he wanted to put. He wants support Azruddin by putting people them alone. But you see who is fighting from Mohammed right now. And you see the person who is fighting for Mohammed because she and him is working together. Not Apnu. Because everything Apnu doing the person against the man. People are seeing though, because they want to go to jail, they don't want to go to jail. Apnu get back the power. That girls will make sure they push things together and make things happen here. They're listening, my brother.
One love. As we analyze the implications with the politicians, everybody striving over this, fighting over power. playing around with the lives of the people. And that's why this show gonna always be for the people, by the people. Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 News Live.
Hello?
Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Good morning. I don't agree with the caller just now that says Mr. Norton wants the opposition leader to go to jail. He is so incorrect. Why would he want the opposition leader to go to jail? He don't have any issues with him. It's the PCP and him. Something is wrong with black people. Black people for all the races, and the races not for black people. They gotta wake up. You're fighting against each other. These people not fighting against you.
Powerful point.
I fed up, man. Everybody wants betterment for the country, but you cannot be blaming. Why he blaming Norton? Why Norton want him to go to jail? Norton got the US on him. Norton after him everywhere, in the river everywhere. That's my contribution, Delta.
Very insightful commentary, and we definitely appreciate you. You as well. Calling in with different views from different parts of the world. There's a person that called directly from GT to say, hey, leave Norton out of this equation. Norton ain't want nobody go to jail. It's unity or else. Because if we analyze this thing, us, the regular persons who is not a part of parliament, not politically exposed, right? The unity in the opposition is going to have a lot of implications with the country moving forward from 2030 moving forward. Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Yeah, but I believe that you understand my father is properly, you know. I mean, just say directly that I mean, who wants him to go to jail, you know. That's really a belief you understand what I'm saying, you know. I'm saying that once we go to jail, that the PNC are happening, so they can pass the power, so they might need to go to jail. Oh, nothing to put it to jail. Nothing can put it to jail. But probably she don't understand what I said, bro. You understand? This thing is about power, you know. And this we this is about all the time. Power.
Yeah.
Because once we go to jail, a few don't realize that, yes, they power over back.
And what
the thing I'm not going to do with nothing putting into jail or not, or why not want to go to jail or whatever.
And then what happened to the people in the middle?
This thing is uphill. Let's probably she understand the theory. I say when he got to jail, then them to be happy because the afternoon will get back the straight. They say they're not doing black and black. They say we call it a conspiracy. So, she not understand the politics and politics.
Good. Well, hopefully the person that would have called in was still listening and they got the chance to hear you clarify them details right there. Now let's hear from CAMS TV, Honorable Mr. Kadaki Amsterdam, as he gives us some insights on what is really going on with this recent meeting between the oppositions. One love, you're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Hey, look, morning, Delta.
Hey, look.
Look,
Hey, look.
you right?
my view is that the opposition is key, right?
Yeah.
So they need to come together. People got to stop beat Mr. Norton. Mr. Norton got to file with 19 charge, a whole full farm, and all these things, you know. Remember now, we have to bring these files to the front of the class and enlighten me that Mr. Norton got a couple of these records.
No, Norton is one of the cleanest. We didn't gotta go down that road with Honorable Mr. Norton. Honorable Mr. Norton is one of the cleanest right now in the political space. I mean, just saying that because he was me professor. I'm saying that because that's what it is.
I know though. But here I'm saying, no, the Leopard Boy got the chance now to unite and take away party colors from the voting bloc and make a unity party. Include Mr. Norton, you can even make it your advisor.
You need persons like Honorable Mr. Norton. We need all the scholarship, all the past presidents, all the persons that got this know how to move forward the country. What we don't need is persons having absolute power to where they are corrupted and nobody can check them on their corruption because that's what's holding back the country.
And that's why so much of people is exiting the app now because Mr. Norton is a serious man. So them see the soup over so and them jump up and joke.
Telling you the soup.
It's a serious thing going on in Guyana. They need to come together. What I see a couple of weeks ago when the boat, the first thing was unity. And then it died away, boy.
Yeah.
It was mad.
Yeah.
They could have hold up anytime they hold up on the same movement with him. By GTV done shut down by election calling all. You not wait till 2031. But me know what they're waiting for. They're gonna wait till 2031. Number one, here we go like with the Leopard Boy. The buying action for biometrics, the buying action for the which be removed from your room and fly out of G-Com with speed along your way. We need a new CEO. Import one from a foreign country. Them is the thing I don't hear them calling for.
Biometrics and a clean voters list.
Biometrics.
Flashes come to burn in the fire every time I lie. It's a biometrics and a clean voters list. And that's the real thing. Because if you go to the
no, must listen keenly. Me never hear the Leopard Boy sing the tune yet, because I believe Claret is his godmother. You accept for 3 more head for the black, but you not accept for she head. You got me suspicious, man. I can always be a contradictionist. Thanks a lot, night speak, man.
One love. Thanks for calling in. I'm telling you, persons calling in with all various views. What are your views, Delta 9 travelers? Call it in or drop it in the comment section. We're analyzing what's taking place in the country, you know, as a collective, as Guyanese. And this is what Dr. Hines, when Dr. Hines is doing his presentations, I love to listen so I could analyze the mind of a scholar, a historian, right? And certain insights that he would give about the country, a person that served the country, went to jail for the country, and all of them things. And I said to myself, you know, these points that Dr. Hines is making, say, we's not a nation, you know. We so divided because of these ethnic differences and these racial differences that we don't come together as a nation on certain things. Now, if we come together as a real collective, you have former presidential leagues that the former presidents now would be giving insights to the present persons that's running the country, right? If you got real accountability to where persons can come and tell you about they get all of that from selling chocolate, another person can come and tell you about who they don't know the size of the land that they own, even though they were in housing and would be every day they would deal with that kind of accrement. And any person that own any property know the size of it. You know? When you have all of these things going on and persons are not being held accountable, then it kind of stymies the growth of the country. It holds we back as a people, and we get to pass these same burdens on to another generation. Watch how people living in glory and excellence. Later this month or next month, the king and his queen are gonna be there looking at their constituents and their farmer colonies, right? How come they are able to get it together? Because they moved beyond these so-called cultures that they put on your mind. Remember, I keep highlighting anything that is cultivated. Any culture is there to be harvested by those that cultivated it. And big up yourself, Al, for pointing out the importance of the language, the importance of English, and breaking up these words and analyzing them, analyzing the origin of these words. It's important for us to look into these things. So when you're hearing about culture, you gotta say, but who put these cultures there? And who put these opposing cultures in one place and tell them be one people and have one nation and have one destiny? That in itself is a mammoth task, right? Very, very important.
The
Why?
most dangerous prison is the one you defend. The most powerful chain is the one you call culture. This is not about blaming white men. This is about confronting the code running inside black men. You cannot deprogram a man if he does not know what he was before the corruption, before he was given his foreign doctrine he holds so dear.
Yeah, culture, one of the biggest chain, right? But you lose your culture, you lose yourself. That's what persons would say. You don't have to lose your culture to realize the oppression. You don't have to lose yourself to realize that you gotta help one another if you're living in the same place for the country to really move forward. Look at the level of corruption. Why people still running out? All ethnicities still running out the country. Because the money that's supposed to be spending on certain things to develop the place is going in certain people's pocket. Right? Them man charging you $200 and giving you $25 work. That's what's going on. Do we continue to analyze some more of these details? Matter of fact, we see what's going on with the poll question and how persons have been participating with that so far. And then we're going to jump into some insights coming from one of the members of the WPA about what went down with the recent meeting between the members in the opposition. Okay. Is Azruddin Mohamed currently the single biggest threat to the PPP administration? 88% now are saying yes, 100%. 12% is saying no, the opposition is no match for the PPP. 12% of persons still think that the former government is no match for the present government. Laughable. But nonetheless, an opinion that should be studied and analyzed, right? Big up yourself to all of the travelers that are live with us right now. Big up yourself to Honorable Mr. Norton. Big up yourself, King, for everything that you do, all your work, all your efforts. Big up to the present leader of the opposition, Mr. Mohamed, that's out and about, Honorable Mr. Mohamed, out and about, advocating and dealing with all of his hurdles presently. We got to big up our brothers and sisters when they come forward and they say, guess what? We are going to hold this mantle and try our best to progress the nation, because without them, what do we have? What do we have? Anarchy, right? So big up everybody right now that's live with us. Thanks for tuning into this live presentation. Let me hear what's going on with that meeting that just passed.
Business. It is the people's business. And if the people's representative met about 72 hours ago and 72 hours later, the people do not know what transpired, despite the promise of a joint statement, then You leave it up to speculation, let me call it that. And I'm speculating that nothing positive came out of that meeting. And so it's held to play. What we going to say? And who going to say what? And since the AP and you went to this meeting and apparently didn't get any appeasement, let me call it that, it must be humiliating. The AP and you has to, and I'm saying it again, display strength. It has to rebuild its strength among its own rank and file. And then before it talks about talking to anybody about unity, because if it remains in quote unquote that state of weakness, and hope to negotiate with Win, then Win will continuously disrespect them. Here is my agenda, or not my agenda. Here's my thinking for the AP. Recognize that you're on your own. It's 12 of you in the National Assembly. And anything you think should be done in representation of the people of this country, do it in your name as 12 representatives of the people in the National Assembly. For example.
Okay, that's just some of the insights coming in. And we're going to continue listening to some more of these details coming in from Honorable Mr. Amsterdam. Always got the betterment of the nation in mind. Big up to Coms TV. If you're not subscribed, then definitely make your way over and subscribe. Tell them Delta 9 Media send you, because they have some of the most insightful live presentations. And as we talk about that, we're going to get some details coming in from the former Finance Minister, Honorable Mr. Jordan, as he gives us some esoteric history, buddy, that should shake you to the core. We're going to get into that right after this. Trisha is saying this right now as we listen. And religion being the second form of chain to the mind, keeping us from reality. And religion being the second form of chain to the mind, keeping us from the reality. I'm going to read it again. I'm going to read it again, because this is the same thing they use that got India, well, what is known as India right now, still divided and still warring and fighting because of the religions that was placed on their minds, not realizing that all is one, right? And persons are now divided in these different fractions and these different religions and stuff like that. And given that is the age of AI and the age of technology, you could break them chains with bravery and 2 years to 3 years of serious research and study, right? But you got to be brave, because you would need to confront certain things within yourself about what divinity is, right? And there's a number of books, there's a number of lecturers, there's a number of scholars that's out there helping persons to break these chains off of themselves. The chain of religion, which is directly connected to the chain of culture, you know? Very, very important for us to call a spade and analyze these things, you know. Watch this. Big up yourself, Tricia. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to put this slide into the live presentation by putting them insights in that comment. That's why I said every person that is in the live, when you contribute, you have to direct what's going to be presented, because I've got umpteen things that I can present on. Electromagnetic harmonizing, chakra, polar harmony. This chart on your screen decodes Hinduism, religion. It decodes the Muslim religion. It decodes Christianity as well. Electromagnetic harmonizing. It's all about you. It's always been all about you, right? All the symbols that you see are there to program your subconscious mind. And it's always going to be about you. all the symbols of these religions. As you notice, the 7 candlestick, which is the symbol of the Hebrew way of life, but it's also a symbol that is very frequent in Christianity as well. On your screen, and the tritons as well, getting into Kundalini. Kundalini being, or understanding Kundalini being the core of understanding any and all of these religious systems. Why? Because we are electromagnetic beings. If you look on your screen right now, and let me remove this comment, big up yourself, Trish, and thanks for dropping these insights again, right? Now, if you look on your screen again, you're going to see the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is the 7 color bands that we would call the rainbow X, Y, and Z. This is the only 7 visible light spectrums. And the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum is what we just call light. This is what everything that exists in this so-called world is on. That's the dimension that exists on. But if you look at the whole electromagnetic spectrum that is on your lower left of the screen, you're going to realize that there is so much more to existence than just that small visible part. It decodes yin yang, Buddhism, every single thing when you understand Kundalini. And when I'm saying all of these things, I know that a lot of persons, it might go over your head with certain conversations, but it shouldn't. And I'm going to put the references that's going to help you to understand some of what I would have just said for yourself. Every one of those barcodes is going to lead you to a notebook learning module that will allow you to be able to decode and move beyond the chains of culture and religion. And as I start to decode these things, I want you to notice that the algorithm is going to pull a lot of persons out of the viewership. And it is what it is, because guess what? Those that are interested in this are the ones that are going to be able to break those chains from their minds and the minds of the children as well, because you can't move forward with the chains of those that colonized you and think that you're somehow free, right? They know these things, and they're using it all the time for you and your generations. Numerology, astrology, understanding the occult, the straw man, and Gnosticism. That's just the first couple steps. We got so many more notebook learning modules, but there's only so much that we can share right here in this live presentation. Things that we got to make sure that we always hold a focus on. Big up yourself, Trish. Thanks a lot for dropping that into the comment section so that we could put those pieces of information into this live. It's all about sharing the information, sharing the insights. That's one of the most important reasons why I come and do these lives, to be able to give the insights to persons on some of them things, even down to the shirt that I'm wearing. I'm always out here dropping codes. If you pay attention, you'll definitely see it. Andrew, so you're saying Christianity is not a religion? Well, who is saying that? There's difference between religion and Christianity. Christianity is definitely a religion. One of the youngest religions in our collective, if you should analyze it. If you really wanted to understand real Christianity, you got to study the number 4. You got to study numerology if you want to understand Christianity. You have to know this. If you want to really understand Christianity, you have to study Hinduism, because that's where it came from. That's not my words. If you research it, you'll see for yourself, right? But you see how the live now would have switched into something completely different. I got another channel that we get into these information and insights on. I'm gonna share the link to that channel right here for those who are interested in that kind of information, because it's important that we get into these discussions. It's called Gnosis Focus. That's the barcode right there on your screen. Scan it and check out some of the information. We got years and years of research, thousands of books and scholars on there that you can definitely use to break certain chains from off of your mind when it comes to certain things. It's not a debate, it's your research. And if you're here to debate, I don't debate things I know. That's like if I debate in a person, if I could tie my shoes, I'll just tie my shoes and laugh at what you're saying because I know that, it's that simple of a thing to where it's just some time for you to learn what it is. And then you have no debates for me about anything like that. And that's why I share the information so persons can't think that I come in here just trying to talk things and, be above them because of what I might understand. If you realize that all is one, you realize that there's nothing that I know that you don't know. You understand me? But that's a whole level of conversation that we didn't even touch on this live presentation. You understand? Andrew, there's difference between religion and Christianity. But first you got to understand what's the Christ, right? But you got to study Krishna to understand the Christ, right? And you got to study the number 4. You got to study electromagnetic harmonizing. You got to research the color green. You got to study the heart chakra, study the Star of David and the symbolism that it really defines, right? Understand why Tesla was saying, if you want to know the secret to the universe, you got to study 3, 6, and 9. Why was he saying that? Why was he saying that, right? And I'm going to drop this other insight right here that I always keep on point about Kundalini, and it's going to give you the book references and everything as well. And like I just shared with you, the information, the barcodes that you can do them researches on your own time as well. Listen to this about Kundalini, and I apologize if this was too much of a segue for most persons, but this is how we present. Persons in the live help us to direct the way that we're going to go with the presentation. Let's hear some of these details.
Like a live electric wire, twisted into innumerable loops and folds, each outwardly entirely dissimilar to the other yet charged with the same current, all religions, creeds and sects of mankind, all secret methods of mind training, magic or sorcery and all disciplines for the attainment of mystical ecstasy or religious beatitude, whichever led to some tangible result, one and all had their roots in Kundalini. There is no doubt that what I am asserting was known in almost all the vanished civilizations of the past. The basis of all the mysteries, whether Babylonian, Egyptian or Greek, can be definitely traced to Kundalini. We shall discuss this issue a little more in detail in another volume. Here it is sufficient to mention that the worship of the feminine force of nature, of the phallus and the female organ of generation, stretching to remote periods of time, had its origin in the instinctive recognition by the ancients of the bilateral activity of the reproductive mechanism, leading to procreation on the one side and to mental and spiritual evolution on the other. The naive explanation of scholars that phallus worship is the outcome of primitive superstition about fertility and birth is itself the product of scientific superstition of the 19th century. The Indian tradition of Kundalini has an empirical background of more than 3,000 years, supported by the testimony of disciplined savants whose veracity is beyond question. The current research on consciousness and psi phenomena would reveal one day how far in advance they have been to the modern savants of the science of life. We are now able to formulate this conclusion on account of the vast increase in the knowledge of the human organism that has occurred in recent times. But for this recognition, the obscurity attending the origin of the religious impulse would never cease to exist. In order to assess the importance of Panchastavi and, in fact, of all the tantric literature in general, it is necessary to dwell briefly on the inevitable manifold impact of the knowledge of Kundalini on all spheres of human life, once the existence of this powerhouse is empirically established.
That's just a little snippet. And that's why it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of a country. If you notice, the symbolism was right in front of you all the time, right? It was always here. So you were being impacted by it in your subconscious, right? Without me even saying it. Now, it's important that we always realize that the persons that would have colonized these areas understand these things, They understand and they know what's going on. But it's for us to do our independent research and analysis to move in to these elevated perspectives of self,
Tell your son he is a Sarah, a son of God. Tell your daughters he is Sitra, a son of a God. Tell them they are the Christ. That's who they are. That's why they exterminated the Gnostics. Now, in the Medu Neter right over here, now everybody's going to have to shift down there while the others can come in. So again, this validates it right here. You know what this Medu Neter is now. What is that? Teta, 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 teta. Teta means what? Come on, brothers and sisters. Teta means what? Eternity. Eternity. We've been going over this now. Teta is eternity. Eternity of what? The ka, ankh. Look at this is plural. See the lines? That's plural. That means the eternity of the spiritual life. And what is that spiritual life? That's this that you saw on the other side. This is what the Romans did. This validates it right here in the books in stone. But the Kari head priest.
Centuries ago, they were analyzing this thing. And we still divided. If Hindus and Christians would come together and analyze things together with Muslims, we'd realize what really taking place. But because everybody want to hold on and be separate, we get caught up and we get used by the very ones that put those cages on the brains, right? Let's get into some of this esoteric history coming from the former finance minister.
Continued trafficking of enslaved Africans to British Guyana 40 years after abolition. Sambodge. Y'all remember Sambodge Parker? Where Munishwar is at the moment? Yes, Sambodge Parker used to be there. One of a number of the British colonial forms who stamped their mark on Guyana. As you will recall, at one time, British Guyana was also known as Bookers Guyana, because Bookers owned everything in this country, or literally everything in this country, down to a taxi service. Down to a taxi service Bookers owned. Bookers taxi service, you used to have to hire them, call them and hire them.
They got some nerve, enslave you and keep the records in a book, and then call themselves the Bookers, and then they own everything after slavery. And we waking up from it and realizing that these chains that they put on, we got to move beyond it. Big up yourself, Trisha, and thanks for dropping these insights into the comment section. Wisdom is always found in the simplest of places. I applaud Delta 9 Media for the information delivered to those who need to learn. Big up yourself, Trisha. And that's why I present it in the simplest way. Me come to exalt myself and why is this and is that. When persons call the information forward, I share it. Other than that, you'll get silent symbols that will impact your subconscious. Because some persons consciously might look at the messenger and that might offend them if I to say certain things to them. Like a couple days ago, I was highlighting the fact of a lot being absent from a lot of what's going on with the Muslims presently. You don't hear nothing really mentioned much about Allah, the female consort of Allah. And we gotta ask ourselves, why? Right? When you're going to check out Sufism, you're gonna get a real story. If you check out Gnosticism, you're gonna get a real story about Christianity. And like I just highlighted from that book is on that barcode, you know, of the when you go into the occult barcode, them books is right there. And I got a special barcode that is just about Kundalini and stuff like that, getting into everything about chakras and Kundalini and stuff like that. Things about yourself that you could check out. You see what I'm saying? Big up yourself, Trish. Thanks for dropping those insights into the live yet again. Sir, there's a difference between religion and Christianity. I don't, like I said, I don't debate it. I walk the road, 10 years study. Easy. And I give you a low ball number right there. 10 years or more of research and study. Me telling you nothing that I just wake up yesterday and want to talk about. Right? I telling you about things that I studied that I had to change my life 3-4 different times because of what I continue to learn and the things that would expand your perspective on certain things. That's why I could step forward and be comfortable with any religion, because I understand all roads lead to the center. All roads lead to the same place. As long as you understand that you are present divinity. And there's nothing outside of infinity. So, Andrew, call in and let's have a conversation about Christianity. If you would like, you know. But you gotta understand Hinduism when you're talking about it. Because if you don't understand the similarities between Krishna and Christ, then what are we talking about? If you don't know that you are present divinity, what are we talking about? If you don't understand Kundalini and the Christos, the anointed oil, if you don't understand that, what are we talking about? You know? Yeah, 13 priceless ones. The word heart is earth also. And you see this thing, numerology is very important because we are energy beings. We are energy beings. And every frequency is denoted by number. Check out this, Andrew. The cult of Pythagoras. Research the cult of Pythagoras. Give yourself an hour serious research on the cult of Pythagoras. And you're going to understand the importance of the number 8. 8 butterfly, 8 transformation, right? It's not by chance you're seeing these things. Understand what's going on in front of your face every time you tune into Delta 9 Media, right? And you got to understand the feminine, Delta 9. Delta triangle 3 6s, which is 9. Come on. That's why you're here. Don't be afraid of the information. Check it out for yourself. Me trying to convince you of anything, I would never influence you into a religion. I would influence you to understand your own self. And it's up to you if you want to know or not. Delta 9, you're going in this rising. I tell you. One love, 13 priceless ones. And watch, even 13 priceless ones is dropping code. Because 1 and 3 is how much? 4. So when I'm saying you got to analyze the 4, notice that the 4 is right there. A person that is coming through on the frequency with the 4 is giving you the insights as well. If you don't understand the number 4, you can't tell me that you understand Christ. It sounds crazy, but check out the numerology of the number 4. Study it and analyze it. Analyze the way that the 4 is drawn. Don't you see the crosses right there? Why is it there? It's talking about the 4 elements, right? Same thing with the Star of David. I mean, this life could be a whole different kind of life. The book of life is the universe. That's my focus. Real thing. Christianity is a relationship. Big up yourself, Andrew. A relationship with what, sir? A relationship with what? I tell you, let me analyze what's going on with this situation with this occult history where persons were shipping slaves into Guyana. 40 years. Now I just celebrated my 40th cycle on this so-called Julian calendar. That in itself is questionable. But for the record, and so that we could have a conversation about 40, I can say 40th anniversary, even though we know they reset the time so much that we gotta ask ourselves, 40 on which calendar, Gregorian or the Julian calendar? You know, these little basic things. But 40 years after slavery was abolished, we're hearing that persons were still illegally shipping slaves into Guyana. Corruption at its core on a whole different level, right? Let me hear some of these details directly from Mr. Jordan.
Let it come. And they used to be stationed right there where the vendors arcade is at the moment, that is obliquely opposite to the GBTI in Water Street. That's where Booker's taxi service used to be, as I remember. But in this article that in Kiskadi Watch, it says the UK Guardian yesterday reported that evidence has come to light that Sambudge and Tin and Company, a corporation closely linked to the merchants who got the biggest taxpayer-funded compensation payouts at the end of slavery, continue to traffic enslaved Africans illegally after abolition to the then British Guyana. The report said that the discovery is detailed in a book titled Searching for My Slave Roots by author Malik Al-Nasir, who has been researching his family history. The Slave Trade Act of 1807 abolished the trade in humans in British territories. Then, in 1833, the Slavery Abolition Act banned slavery itself in most of the British Empire. But the report said that an 1847 letter written to Sambudge Tin's Liverpool office by Peter Miller Watson, who managed the company's interest in Demerara, refers to a ship from the company's own fleet arriving with a, quote, cargo of Negroes, end of quote, including dozens of young children. The letter details how the ship, called the Parker, was carrying 115 adult males, 86 adult females, 82 under 14 years, and 41 under 4 years. Adding, quote, there have been only 3 casualties during the passage, 1 man and 2 children, which Captain R says may be attributed to the wretched state in which they had lived ashore. End of quote. Malik said.
So, in attributing it to the fact that they were just treated and denoted as cattle, all of them children that it was bringing over to put into a life of slavery. You're all hearing for yourself the mindset of the persons that is giving you the mindset. You know that the good ship Jesus was one of the first ships that brought persons into captivity. So when they're talking to you and telling you that Jesus will return, the reference was the ship. Check it out for yourself. Check it out for yourself. Google search the good ship Jesus. And then let's have a conversation about what Christianity is. You know that they used to bless the slave ships before they sail out into these areas with you as cargo, right? To be raped, plundered, and oppressed for generations even now. What are we talking about? We're talking about things like this.
In the report, slavery had been abolished. So how do we know the people on the Parker weren't indentured or Africans liberated by the Royal Navy? Firstly, Watson specifically refers to them as cargo and not passengers. When liberated Africans were not regarded as cargo, enslaved people were called Negro. Quote, in referring to the wretched state in which they had lived ashore, he's saying they were shipped from land and are the architects of their own condition. If they had been previously enslaved, blame would have been on their former masters, and they would not have been bought if they were sick. Then Watson talks about casualties. He's attributing the deaths as a loss of property. By process of deduction, we can see these are people illegally trafficked from Africa. End of quote. The report said that Peter Miller Watson was a distant cousin of.
Another thing to check out is the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery. Who officiated the doctrine of discovery? And who just renounced the doctrine of discovery centuries after they don't use it to destroy a people's mind and oppress and use them and in chattel slavery for centuries? Who just renounced the doctrine of discovery? Is it not the same ones that gave you Christianity? Check it out, it is there. Catholic Church renounced the doctrine of discovery. And then check and see what is the doctrine of discovery. I don't have these links open right now. But if I did, I would put it into this presentation. So I'm saying to persons, that's a little missing element to help you to realize what's going on in we country till a day like today. When persons talk about, oh, the king will be visiting soon. What's going on with we as a people? What's going on with us?
The British Prime Minister, William Gladstone, and the father of Andrew Watson, who became the first black international footballer when he captained Scotland in the 1880s. Sambodge Tin, which was wound up in 1975, right? That's the same Sambodge Parker, wound up in 1975, right here, was the family business of the Sambodge and Tin families, who, along with their collaborators and relatives in the Gladstone family, dominated the Demerara sugar trade. The report said by the time of the 1847 letter, Sambodge Tin and their subsidiaries had already received compensation equivalent to millions of pounds today for the loss of the people they enslaved before abolition. While family patriarch Samuel Sambodge had left the partnership in 1833, the UK Guardian report said that his son, William Robertson Sambodge, and son-in-law, Charles Stuart Parker Jr., were principal shareholders in 1847. Quote, John Gladstone, the father of William Gladstone, who owned plantations in Guyana and Jamaica, got the biggest single individual payout, while Sambodge Tin got the second largest on aggregate. Both were among the architects of the compensation scheme.
Wow.
Malik said in the report, right? So there you have it. And you know, every time I've had the pleasure of coming here and talking about our history, the repugnance of that history and the repelling nature of it, I often wonder why more of this is not being taught, and why we as Africans in Guyana are not educated or do not seek to educate ourselves so that we'll be able to use history as the guidepost for our future. I say, and I say it again and over and over and over. A people without a history is like a tumbleweed in the wind. And unfortunately, while we do have a history, the people in Guyana, the Africans in Guyana, don't know their own history. That history continues to be hidden from them. And so in many ways, particularly the younger generation, is historyless. Yeah, they're learning a bit of Caribbean history and so on. But we're talking here about Guyanese history. And among the Africans, descendants in Guyana, African Guyanese history. not being taught. So I hope this can continue, notwithstanding the last days of August, that it can continue throughout the year and intensify during August. And on such other occasions that are cause for celebration and commemoration, because there are many, like the 1823, that is not commemorated. There are many such periods in history that are still unknown for the contribution to the struggle for the liberation of the descendants of Africans. There are others, particularly the village movement, which should be up to date, because you're suddenly hearing about model villages. Without even understanding the origins of the village movement and what the village movement meant for particularly people of African descent, of whom credit should be given for the village movement. Well, we'll talk more about that as we go along. We'll talk more about that. I heard Kadaki talking about Buxton and Fowell Buxton, after whom Buxton village is named, and the whole history.
The history that we can't function correct without, buddy. If you ain't got no history, how you gonna know how you're moving forward, right? Big up yourself to Trish. Trish is pointing this out. Delta. Jesus is not coming back for no one. I would hope by now persons would realize that this conversation is just like Santa Claus. Even Santa Claus, the 12 cranial nerves, and all of these things that is weeded in, so that persons could understand. Even Christmas is decoding you, right? Okay, talking about the 12 cranial nerves, when you're talking about the 12 days of Christmas that is coming up shortly. You see, I was saying there's so much things that we could get into upon these lives, you know, but I usually don't, because I try to keep the information separate so that it doesn't confuse persons and it doesn't get, you know, clustered together. That's why I try to put it into different channels on the same platform, my dad. There's no focus for persons who would like to get into some of these esoterics, which is very important, even more important than Delta 9 Media. That's a channel that I would have created years ago that get all of these esoteric informations in it, with scholars like C. Freemonell, Bobby Hemmett, my teacher as well, Mr. Phil Valentine, right? Listen to this.
The only way you can win down here is to become God. Because if you don't do it down here, you got to come back. And keep coming back till you get it done. Because that's what you are. John chapter 10, verses 31, 36, right there in the same Bible y'all been reading and carrying around and Mama been talking about. But she keep telling you about Jesus. And what is needed is somebody to tell you about you. That's what self-knowledge is about. That's what Moorish science is about. That's what astrology is about. It tells you about you as God, as a replica of the universe. That's what this knowledge does. If you wonder why so many children are lured into that world of shade and darkness, death and anger, greed and fear, because they have no knowledge of themselves. If you are not able to follow your God, you're going to follow somebody else's. You're going to follow somebody down here. Or fall into a derision of confusion as the ones who succumb to drugs. They are not following anybody. They're following their glands. And drugs have overwhelmed their glands, so they are slaves in the real sense of the word. A slave is not someone who works for someone else. A slave is someone who succumbs, surrenders to something else.
Powerful point coming out from the ancestor C. Freeman L. C, the letter C, Freeman, Freeman, space L. C. Freeman L. Right? Just type it into YouTube. Pull up the information for yourself. Research it for yourself. Break the chains off of your mind. The same chains that every time you see persons come out and speak on certain things, they don't break them chains off of themselves. Jack the on them understand these things, buddy. You think they don't know? Why you think the president could move between any religion and there and don't be offended by none of that? Because they know religion is for the peasants. And I'm not attacking anyone, but I'm just letting you realize the reality of what's going on. That is there to control you and culture you in a particular manner to be harvested. Every holiday when we got things for sale, every time we want to use these religious tendencies to push you in a particular direction, we can use these cultures that we would have created because we understand the esoterics, we understand Gnosticism, we understand electromagnetic harmonizing, we understand as above so below, we understand Kundalini. So we're going to give you the little information that's going to lead you to what we understand ultimately, so that we can now use you in the way that we would like. That's what's going on in front of your face. And big up yourself yet another time. So much appreciate what you did with this live, Trisha. You understand? Delta, Jesus ain't coming back for no one. The Nicene Creed is the evidence for bringing Jesus into existence. This agreement was made in 1892. Right? 1892. And this is 2026 in accordance with the Julian calendar. Not to be mistaken with the Gregorian calendar. Remember when they switch up time and you have April Fool and all of them things? Check it out for yourself. And you're going to realize it's what really going on in front of our faces. Right? Very insightful piece of presentation coming out from the former finance minister. Is Azruddin Mohamed currently the single biggest threat to the PPP administration? 85%. Are saying yes, 100%. 15% is saying no. The opposition is not no match for the PPP. What are your views? Drop it into the comment section. Participate in the poll question while we're still in the airport, because the flight has landed right here on Delta 9 Media for this live presentation. We will be live again later in the day, hopefully for 6:30. If not, look out for the other pre-recorded videos that we're going to put up. What I'm going to do, because I'm realizing that it's a need, you know, I try my best not to force certain pieces of information on persons because they might not be ready. And there's this conversation about milk for babes and food for grown men. Either one would be harmful to the other, because if you give a baby food, for grown people, they could choke and pass off. And if you feed a grown man on just milk, he'll be too weak to function in his capacity. But I'm seeing that there's a call for the information, and it's only right that while I'm here in existence in this dimension, that I share it in the way that it should be shared, because it was shared with me. You understand? 13 priceless ones is saying, brother CL. Yeah, see a lot of persons know but see Freeman. Good morning, Delta 9 family and viewers. Big up yourself, Paulette, frequent traveler and moderation. Thanks for tuning in. 13 priceless ones is saying he dropped a lot of gems. Yeah, the ancestor C. Freeman dropped so many gems. He's one of the persons that taught Bobby Hemmett as well. He's Bobby Hemmett's professor, right? Taught a lot even to Phil Valentine. Reverend Phil Valentine, Dr. Phil Valentine, right? That would have helped me to crack the egg that was caging my brain so I could understand these things on a whole different level. And then I did years of research. One of these days, I'm going to share a snippet from one of the classes that I did with Dr. Phil Valentine. That's another person that you should research as well if you're now jumping into the information. Dr. Phil Valentine. DRPHILL Valentine. And guess what? The brother is from Trinidad. Right? The brother is from Trinidad. Dropping certain information that, listen, life-changing, thanks to the PPP, for erasing African history from the people. Yes, the Indians still study their history and their culture today, right? Trish is saying thanks for the show. I'm saying, Trish, thanks for the comments and thanks for the insights that helped to create the show. And that's why we had to make you a moderator. Why? Because we want you to come back and to drop those insights in the live presentation. That's going to help to unchain the minds of persons, because I don't want them to think that, oh, it's just the messenger in front of them that is bringing all of these different concepts and this, that, and the third. I want them to see that at the spur of the moment, we can get into a different level of conversation and take the flight to a whole different altitude. Right? Sherry, getting big up from Paulette and everyone else in the live. Most of the African Guyanese today are a lost people. They are just driftwood, I'm telling you. Dean, thanks for tuning in. Saying good morning, good morning. Thanks for being a part of the live. Devanan, people shouting you out in the live, buddy. Thanks for being moderation right here on the live presentation. The flight has landed, Delta 9 travelers. Thanks for tuning in. There were so many things that we got into, so much other parts of the live that are diverted from, that we're going to deal with in another presentation. Ain't nothing, because we got so much other lives that we're going to do and so much other pre-recorded videos that we're going to do, right? So big up to everyone that's live with us. If you're subscribed, subscribe, buddy. It don't cost you nothing to hit that subscription button and be a part of Delta 9 Media and everything that we got going on right here. I'm going to share the other platform and I'm going to share the book references again, because we got into the esoterics in this live presentation. This information that you hear me speaking on, this is not my information. This is nothing that I own or anything like that. This is our understanding, our present divinity that will be revealed to us. Check out the information for yourself. Read the many books of scholarship for yourself. Use notebook learning module to present the information in video form, flashcards, and everything so that you can learn and teach others to break the chains of captivity on our mind. Study numerology, study astrology, study the occult, study Gnosticism, analyze the straw man. When you're talking about the straw man, we're talking about the birth certificate and all of the intricacies going on with the birth certificate. Watch. Hear what Sizzler is saying about it.
All right? But when you make the money, protect yourself. He would not hedge. The land won't have in the Caribbean and Africa anywhere. Only go secure the lands then. The war is only about the what? Land and the what? The people. And one of the main things
the land of the people
in slavery is the birth certificate system. All right? I'm gonna have
the birth certificate system. Okay. Okay. So if we're analyzing the birth certificate system, we gotta analyze the straw man. Right? What's going on with that? Check it out for yourself. Check it out for yourself. That's the information right there to some of the notebook learning modules. And this is the information to the other channels. that we have on YouTube. Delta 9 Media No Filter. I'm asking persons to go over there and subscribe. We're looking to get that channel to 1,000 subs, and then we'll be going live from that platform with a whole different type of live presentation, all different types of content. If you're looking for the esoteric kind of study, getting into the information that we would have presented in the latter part of the live when we started to decode Christianity, this, that, and the third, head over to Gnosis Focus, subscribe, check out the information that we have over there, and help to break the chains of colonization and oppression that still exists on a lot of us, right? A lot of us, a lot of things, a lot of information. We try to divide the information so that persons don't get congested. You come to Delta 9 Media, we got a different type of content from Gnosis Focus and Delta 9 Media No Filter, right? Check out the esoterics, check out the information on your own, analyze it. They put it in movies as well. For those who remember, they cloned Tyrone. Remember they cloned Tyrone? That was a movie getting into the esoterics of electromagnetic harmonizing. And we decode the esoteric information in movies as well on Gnosis Focus. Check it out. We never did a movie decoding on Delta 9 Media before, but it's there on Gnosis Focus. All of these charts will start to make so much sense to you when you check it out for yourself. And Andrew, if you're still live with us, check out the Temple of Demerara. Analyze it in connection with the 7 alchemical elements and how they connect to the 7 chakras and Kundalini and the 7 candlestick as a symbol. And then let's talk about the Christ, right? Then let's talk about it. Big up to all the travelers in the chat, everyone that's a part of the live presentation. I'll leave you with these insights as we land the plane right here for this live with Delta 9 Media. Let's consider this.
I think it was Details Magazine. You used the word God, and that's what messed everybody up. But you said something to the effect you were a self-made God. Explain it.
I made up my mind to make a change in my life when I was 16 years old. We are all gods on this planet, every man and every woman. We create life. We can take life. We control what goes into the sea, whether the fish can live or not. We decide if the trees can grow tall. We decide if the children will eat. We are very powerful beings on the planet Earth. And when I said a self-made God, I meant just what I said. Barry White changed his life.
A lot of persons might be uncomfortable with that. But if I come out and say dog, doggy, and da-da-da-da-da and call a person a dog, they might be cool with it. But turn the word around and say we are all gods in this present experience. And then we might offend some. And I wonder why. I really wonder why. One love. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscription button. Thumbs up the live and send it out in the algorithm. I'll catch you in the next one. One love every single time.
Unleash the best version of yourself with every goddess. Say goodbye to limitations and say hello to a better, stronger, healthier you.
Feet on soil, Guyana, roots in my veins.